Alright man, with etrailer, if you have a 2023 Subaru Outback and you're looking for a way to carry a variety of different styles of bikes and you want something that's not going to take up very much room in your garage, then the Benton Shifts&Grins Bike Rack is going to be a pretty good option for you. So let's check it out. I'm really liking the way this is sitting up here today. We're not anywhere close to making contact with the vehicle, even if this was on some really bumpy roads and this was moving around a lot. And we are going to have a weight capacity of 55 pounds per bike, holding up the two of them. So you will be able to put your smaller e-bikes back here. And that's really not going to reflect its tilt-away, because we are going to have this button right here, and you'll notice this is going to tilt back a fair amount. Just make sure you watch your head when you do this. And you can already tell this is a pretty far gap, and when I open up my hatch, I have plenty of clearance. We're nowhere near making contact with my bike. This is going to give me the opportunity if maybe I was going out shopping, I can put some groceries away, or if I'm getting ready for my bike ride, I can tie my shoes, grab my helmet, and then get ready to go out and start riding. And to put this back up into the seated position, all I have to do is come to the front of it, push up on the rack, and they'll eventually click into place. And if we want to take a closer look at this rack, I'm going to have to take off my bike. So where I like to start is with these straps. You're going to have one per tire. They're going to have some additional padding on them so they don't damage up your tires any. You're going to tuck that behind, make this process a little bit easier. Then we'll go to the front. Like I said, they're both going to have one, same process. Once this is removed, I can go over to my J-hook. Now with this is pretty unique because it can not only clamp onto your tire or the frame. So this is perfect for carbon frame, alternative frame, or any other types of bikes that you don't want to scuff up your paint job. And the way to do this is just press this button, push up on this. And what I like about this is I can fully remove this hook. Because sometimes when you're trying to remove your bikes, this can get in the way. The fact that I can take that all the way off, I can just tuck that away somewhere else, and then make taking this off a lot simpler to do. Just lift up, pull it towards you, and then you can go out for a ride. We just need to make sure once we have our bike off, we put everything back up, because you don't want to take off without your hook, because you don't want to lose that. You can secure that down, and make sure you just put these straps back into place so they're not dangling around as you drive. Makes it look a little bit neater too. And if you are worried about it, you could use one of these straps to make sure that this lever isn't jumping around as you drive. But let's get a few measurements. The first measurement I'm going to get is going to be our ground clearance. So that's going to be the distance from the ground, from our furthest point out, and that's going to be at 18 inches, which is pretty good. Even if you do have this loaded up with some heavier bikes, it's going to drop down by maybe an inch or two. You're still going to have plenty of clearance when you are driving up those steep driveways. And we can talk about how far this is going to stick out. So if I go from our back bumper to the back of the vehicle, or the carrier, that's going to be sticking at about 33 inches, which is pretty standard for a 2-bike carrier. Now, if you're in any really tight spots, like a garage, then I just make sure you keep an eye on this because you don't want to hit anything. But we can save space. So if I just press that button, the same one we used earlier to tilt this back, I can fold this up 90 degrees and it's going to be perfect, especially if you are in those tighter parking spots. And this is only going to be sticking out 18 inches now. You probably also notice we do have a decent gap in between our rack and our vehicle, but this is pretty good because this is going to allow me to open up my hatch so we don't have to worry about us having to fold this down just to access the back of here. And for how it's going to interact on the back of your Outback, it's not going to block much. So you're going to notice it is blocking just a little bit of your license plate, but it won't fully obstruct it. And the same thing's going to go for your backup camera. Now, I'd recommend just sticking to using your mirrors or your back window because you're going to have full visibility out that way. And for our taillights, that won't be blocked whatsoever. The way this is going to install, we're going to have a 2-inch shank that goes into your 2-inch hitch receiver. To help us out with this process, we do have an alignment collar, just so we can get our anti-rattle bolt lined up with that pinhole. That's great because once you have this set, if you are taking this in and out a lot, you don't have to struggle with trying to get this lined up each time. And that anti-rattle bolt is just going to give us a better hold on our vehicle. So if you're on any bumpy roads or you're just driving around, this isn't going to be rattling or shaking around a lot in your receiver. And finally, like I said earlier, this is going to be a very compact rack. And what I mean by that is when I take it off of our vehicle, it can have a little bit of heft to it, but once I sit it down, we can actually fold in that shank. The way we're going to do that is we're going to find that we have a pin right here. If I pull up on this pin, then that's going to release the ability for us to fold this all the way up. And once I do that, you can see that our shank now is a little bit more compact, which is going to be more ideal for putting in your garage against a wall. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid choice for the Outback, especially with how low it sits. It's not going to block a lot on your vehicle. And I think it's great that it can carry a variety of different types of bikes, and it's not going to take up very much space in your garage either. Now, there are some other options that work very similar to this. If you want something that feels a little bit nicer and has a slightly higher weight capacity, then I'd recommend the Rocky Mountains Monorail Bike Rack. But that is going to be at a much more premium price range. Another one that's going to be at a more premium price range, but will be lighter than this because this can get a little bit hefty sometimes, is the Kuat Sherpa Bike Rack. Just keep in mind that one will have a lower weight capacity. So if you're trying to find a good in-between, I think this is a solid choice. But again, this was just a look at the Benton Shifts&Grins Bike Rack on the back of our 2023 Subaru Outback. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.